Okay. Ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Town government that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Paul Hennings, counsel to this board. To his left is Tom O'Brien, a planner in the planning department. To his left is John Bongino, town building director. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a board of appeals to act as a relief valve so that those persons aggrieved by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town board can give Board of Appeals additional powers such as special exception approvals, site plan approvals, etc. In Smithtown, the town board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before the board are area variances. Area variances deal with dimensions such as lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the following 5 criteria in area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these 5 areas. They're posted here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in a character neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. The statute requires the board to balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. This statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance it shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Special exception applications are different than area variances. When we have a special exception application, I'll explain the difference. Regarding procedure, cases will be called in order that they are advertised. When your case is called, please come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts to Mr. O'Brien, and then you will be sworn in at the podium and will be given the opportunity to explain to this board why you need the variance. After the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please organize your thoughts, keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. And then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review the cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. Number 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. We do have an adjournment. Case 167812J's Inc., location northeast corner of Veterans Memorial Highway. Was there anyone interested in that case? Okay. That has been adjourned to November 27th. First case tonight is case 16796, Richard Flynn, 821 Town Line Road, Hop Park. Location, northwest corner of Town Line Road and North Hoffman Lane, Hop Park. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 44 and reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 38 for an existing 337 square foot deck. May I have your name, please?
It's Christina Aiello, Morano Expediting, 4 Hamilton Court.
Okay, spell your last name.
Aiello.
Okay, okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
I'm here on behalf of the homeowners, Mr. and Mrs. Flynn. We are requesting permission to maintain an existing 31 foot by 15 feet 6 inch irregular second story wood deck. The front yard setback required is 40 feet, and we are requesting 38 feet. And the front yard off of North Hoffman Lane is a 12% relaxation that we're requesting. And the required rear yard setback is 50 feet, and we are holding 44 in the rear yard, requesting a 5% relaxation. The deck is about 6 feet above grade, and the rear property line is very heavily vegetated, which is screening the deck from the neighboring property. And it's been there about 15 years. We have not received any complaints. It was installed by a licensed contractor, which the homeowners were told had filed proper permits. It was their mistake that they did not follow up and make sure that it was done. When we put in a sunroom back in May, we were notified that the deck was illegally installed. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Planning, do you have any questions? Gentlemen? No questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Ready, moved, and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Oh, you for the next case too?
Yes.
Okay. Next case is case 16797, David and Elaine Shapiro, 3 Bruce Lane South, Kings Park. Location, northeast corner of Bruce Lane South and Bruce Lane, Kings Park. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard on Bruce Lane from 25 feet to 8 for an existing 6-foot fence. All right. There is a new fence ordinance, so it has changed the request. So now, because you don't have any sidewalk, it is going to go from 20 feet to 17. We went out and measured yesterday. All right, so that would be the request. Is that all right, John? With
Yes.
okay. All right, so that's the request now, from 20 feet to 17. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's Christina Aiello, Morano Expediting, and I have the property owner here with me.
Okay. And I think I forgot to swear you in, so will you raise your right hand this time?
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to speak?
No.
He's going to give me permission.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Do you want to get his name for the record to allow me to speak on
You-
his behalf?
you
I didn't,
have
he
a-
didn't sign
you have
power of
power
attorney for this
attorney?
one.
You don't?
No.
All right, then come up. Let me have your name, please.
David Shapiro,
And your address, David.
3 Bruce Lane South, Kings Park.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And you're going to like this lady speak for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're requesting permission to maintain the existing 6-foot PVC fence, holding 8 feet in the front yard setback instead of the required 25 feet. It's installed 8 feet from the property line. As you mentioned previously, from the street, we're at 17 feet. The fence was constructed in 2006. Unbeknownst to the homeowner, they were not aware that they required a permit for that, and we're here to do so now. And the fence does not obstruct the view of traffic. I have photographs from the street that I'd like to submit.
Are they labeled?
Yes, they are.
Thank you. Thanks.
You got a chance to visit the property, and you see that it's very clear, it's very neat, it's not obstructing the view of traffic from either street. We haven't had any complaints from the neighbors. We've only had praise that the house has been upkept so nicely. We also submitted pictures of another corner lot where the fence is closer to the street, and it's heavily vegetated. So we feel that it's not setting a precedent, it's not out of character for the neighborhood, and it's not a detriment to the area.
Do you know if that other fence has?
We were unable to find,
Okay, so there may not
anything
have a
on that.
variance for that fence.
right, but it's labeled with the address, just for the record. if you have any questions.
Okay. Planning? Okay. Gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second, moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Next case is case 16798, Matthew and Patricia 3 Weiner Street, Comac location, north side of Weiner Street, east of Ruth Boulevard, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 42 for a 294 square foot addition. May I have your name, please?
Matthew Conroy,
Okay.
homeowner.
Yeah, Matthew, you know what? You either, pull it up or you can take it out of the holder. How's that?
Matthew Conroy, the homeowner.
Okay, and your address, please?
3 Weiner Street, Comac.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Are you going to speak?
I'm a homeowner also. I'm his wife.
But are you going to speak?
No.
Okay. Go ahead. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, we're requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 42 feet for a 290 square foot addition. It'd be 14 by 21 feet. Similar houses in the area have similar renovations.
Okay. Planning?
Madam Chair.
Gentlemen? Okay.
Anything else?
That's it, unless you want to go through the 5 considerations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16799, Kathleen Carley. The location is 2 South Cornell Drive. Location, south side of Cornell Drive South, east is Syracuse Boulevard, Smithtown. Are you here? Okay. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 9 for an existing 359 square foot first floor addition. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 5 and total yard from 28 feet to 14 for an existing 86 square foot shed and a 46 square foot roof over. Reduce the minimum distance to any lot line from 6 feet to 4 for an existing 282 square foot shade house. Increase the maximum paving in the front yard from 25% to 30%. Increase the maximum paving in the side yard from 25% to 38%.
Thank you very much.
May I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Mario Vigliotta from J. Bez Expediting.
Do you have a power of attorney?
No, the owner
I
is
need the
here.
applicant then.
The applicant is here.
I need her first.
Okay.
Thank you. May I have your name, please?
Yes, Kathleen Carley.
And your address, Kathleen.
For the attendants, I'm the owner of 2 Cornell Drive South in Smithtown.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask you to state your name and to spell your last name.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mario Vigliotta, V as in Victor, I-G-L-I-O-T-T-A, of J. Bez, J-A-B-E-Z, Expediting.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
As stated, as read, we are asking for 5 variances. 2 on the property are for the principal building, and 3 are for accessory structures. The 2 on the principal building have to do with minimum side yards, as stated, 12 feet to 9 feet. These had to do with additions that were put onto the house. The present owner right now, Miss Carley, is the present owner. This was all done by the previous owner. This work was done by her father. She inherited the house. The work was done in excess of 30 years ago, if not more. She was not aware of this until she actually inherited the house. She has no intention of living there. She has the house up for sale. And presently, while having the house for sale and people looking at it, she came across the fact that she didn't have her father had not applied for the work that was done. As far as the area variance considerations, as of number 5, it was not self-created. It was done previously by the previous owner, her father. I cannot, reviewing and walking the property several times, I cannot see anything that environmentally would affect the property or the surrounding area. I believe it's safe to assume that all the work, if properly applied for, most likely would have been approved, excluding the fact that the variances and setbacks probably would have been adjusted at the time if it was properly applied for. And as far as the physical structures to the main building, and as far as the accessory structures that are in the yard, they might have been asked to be relocated. But as far as the building is, it fits with the decor, the environment of all the houses. It's very well kept. It's kept up well. All of the adjacent neighbors have no problems as far as we know of. I actually have one letter written in favor, stating that they have no problem with any of the work that has been done in the yard. And as far as the character of the neighborhood has definitely not been any detriment of any type of the work. It's a shed. The accessory structures are a shed, a roofed-over pond, and a outside. It's a patio area that's covered over with no windows that has been used for years for outside barbecues and family gatherings. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just let me tell you that it is self-created. Even though she did not build it, it was built without permits.
Okay.
Doesn't have to say. So it is self-created. And the other thing, because it's existing, that doesn't mean that this board is going to approve it because it is existing. Or,
Understood.
You know, you understand that.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that we won't approve it either. All right?
Yes.
Okay. Planning?
Madam Chair, the Planning Department would just like to emphasize its concern with increasing the amount of impermeable surfaces on a property and its effect on the groundwater.
Okay.
I assume you're referring to
The 38% for the paving.
I'd like to point out that the increased area is not all pavement. I do have some pictures here of its. It appears to be all pavement, but it really isn't here. And then there is actually laid brick that hasn't even been cemented down. It's just placed.
I think they count. I believe they count that as the paving also, even though it is. Yeah, they will count that.
Okay.
In their calculations. All right. Gentlemen, any other questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's readily moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next case is case 16800, Elizabeth I. Paletto, 99 Walter Court, Comac, location north side of Walter Court, east of Pony Lane, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 9 and total side yards from 28 feet to 21 for an existing 250 square foot deck. May I have your name, please?
Elizabeth Ippolito,
And your address, Elizabeth?
99 Walter Court in Comac.
Why don't you move that down, please?
Okay.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. I've come here to apply for a variance to reduce the side of my home from 12 feet to 9 feet. It's for an existing deck. I had a contract to put the deck on. It's well constructed, well maintained, and as you can see from the pictures that I submitted, I don't know who has them, and this does not have any effect on the environment.
Planning?
No comments, Madam Chair.
Gentlemen? Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So move.
Second?
Barely moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next case is case 16801, Gary Katana, 42 Stonywood Road, Comac. Location, northwest corner of Stonywood Road and Bambi Lane, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 38 for an existing 168 square foot sunroom.
Hi, good evening.
May I have your name, please?
Gary Catania, spelled C-A-T-A-N-I-A, address 42 Stonywood Road in Comac.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'm requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 38 feet for an existing 168-foot sunroom. I am the homeowner of the property. I've lived there 23 years. 14 years ago, we had this room put in. It's just a screened-in area. And the reason we had it put in was I live on the corner of Bambi Lane, and homes number 1, 3, 5, and 7 had a sump behind it, and you could not sit outside in our backyard with the bugs. It was just unruly, so that's why we put the room up. It doesn't have any environmental impact. It's well maintained, as you can see by the photos. It's been there 14 years. I've never had a complaint about it.
Gentlemen, planning? Do you see anything there?
Looks like it goes to 39.5 feet. John?
Mm-hmm.
My plot plan shows 38 feet 9 inches rear yard setback.
Let's have a different one.
All right, well, it's less than,
Okay,
do you
fine.
see 38? I don't see 38.
No, maybe he has a more up-to-date one. Okay, two different surveys. we have to go to the bigger one since it's, that one says 30.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Ready, moved and second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Next case is case 16802, Anne Marie and Michael Lang, 2 Browning Street, St. James. Location, northeast corner of Browning Street and 50 Acre Road South, St. James. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback, 50 Acre Road, from 30 feet existing to 0 for an existing 6-foot fence. Okay, again, there is a new ordinance. So this does not have a sidewalk. I believe, let's see, the swim, it has no sidewalk. So it goes, please do not call out. So it goes from 20 feet to 9. All right, John?
Yes. The way the new code reads,
All right.
if it's adjacent to an edge road pavement, the fence
Yeah.
shall be at least 20 feet, provided
Okay.
no sidewalk.
So now that is going to go from, so we'll read from 20 feet existing to 9 feet. All right?
Madam Chair, I agree with you.
Okay. May I have your name, please?
Yes, John J. Flanagan for Chelly Curto Deegan, Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale.
Okay.
I'm here on behalf of Anne Marie and Mike Lang. I'll be as succinct as possible. We are obviously asking for 2 variances. The Langs have lived in the home for approximately 14 years. And to your previous comments about self-created hardship, that at the time they moved into the house, there was an existing 6-foot stockade fence. They replaced that in kind approximately 5 years ago. And so I don't know if it's fair to say it was self-created or not, but frankly, the fence was there when they moved in. They changed it from a stockade, and you can see pictures that have been previously submitted. I do have a series of 8 pictures that have been labeled and numbered for the board's consideration if need be that I would like to submit. And the Langs have 3 young boys who are all in the Smithtown School District, and they have kind of a unique piece of property. It slopes downward in the back, so as I drove by and looked at it on a couple of occasions, I'm sure it was quite a task just getting the fence back in the way it was. In terms of the character of the neighborhood, I don't believe there'll be an undesirable change at all. If you look at their property, how it's landscaped, how it's maintained, they have very heavy plantings outside the fence, running right up to the edge of the street. They are really, there's not too many neighbors that can see the fence directly. There are a couple of vacant small lots down at the bottom of their property and across the street. I'm not saying there aren't neighbors, but in terms of what anyone would see, I think it's aesthetically pleasing. They maintain the fence very well, stain it every year. The time of the installation, they spent about $6,000. That includes Mr. Lang doing the bulk of the labor with some other people as well. They had gotten estimates to either cut the fence or move it back, which would be thousands of dollars to cut it and even more to move it and replace it back at the appropriate setback. And unless they moved it all the way back to the setback line, they would have to be here for an area variance. And I'm not going to suggest that it's an insubstantial variance because it is a substantial request. But if you look at the nature of their property, if they were to have to move that fence back, they would lose a significant part of the backyard that they have. And with 3 young boys, keeping them in the backyard is probably not such a bad idea. And I don't believe it would have an adverse effect on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Planning?
No comments, Madam Chair.
Gentlemen?
No question.
No? Okay. Thank you so much. Are they all able? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Come up, please. May I have your name, please, and spell your last name?
George Simpson, same as Homer.
Spell your last name?
Simpson,
Spell it.
Simpson.
All right, may I have your address, please?
30 Linda Place.
All right. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I live actually not across the street from them, but off to the side. I'm on the corner of Linder Avenue, Linder Place, and 50 Acre Road. I go out my driveway and see the fence every morning. I have no objection to where the fence is now. It's beautiful. He maintains it 100%, and there's no way to put a sidewalk there. It's almost impossible without building a 6-foot concrete wall behind the sidewalk to put a sidewalk there. I have a sidewalk out in front of my house, and he has one in front on the main front. That's on the side of his house, 50 Acre is. And I have no complaints the way it is now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Israeli moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. It's got to be fence night. Okay. Next case is case 16803, Edward and Regina Chatterton, 45 Seneca Drive, Comac. Location, northwest corner of Seneca Drive and Wicks Path, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 1 for an existing 6-foot fence. Now, this has a sidewalk, so with the new ordinance, it goes from 26 to, I think Tom, we measured about 11.8. To 12? Okay. Okay, may I have your name, please?
Hi, I'm Edward Chatterton, 45 Seneca Drive.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. You want to tell us
I'm
why you-
requesting a variance for an existing 6-foot PVC fence that I replaced, originally was a 4-foot high chain link fence. I put it in the same position, the same routing that the old fence was in. I put a pool in the backyard, but part of it, when I got inspected, they said, about the difference in the fence height, because I needed a self-locking, self-closing gate, and I thought it would be safer with the 6-foot fence. I didn't change any distance or any location of the fence except for the height.
Okay. We were out to your house. We went to all of them yesterday to measure, but are you leaving that chain link fence?
I'm sorry?
Are you leaving the chain link one? That's on Wicks Path?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know, because that's
Yes.
a 4-foot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Planning?
Besides the shrubs being a little overgrown, nothing.
Yeah. We're saying that your shrubs are really overgrown and
Okay, that I can definitely take care of.
could you take care of that? I know it's hard to walk onto that sidewalk.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Gentlemen?
No question.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Already moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. You ready? Okay. Next case is case 16804, Taco Bell of America, Inc. Location, southwest corner of Smithtown Bypass and Southern Boulevard. Property zone WSI. Request. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special exception. A special exception is different. It is permitted use. If they meet all the criteria, we must approve it. If they do not meet all the criteria, they have to ask for variances, and that's what they are doing here now. So I will read it. Special exception to modify a counter-service restaurant with drive-through. Increase the maximum area of a ground sign from 40 square feet to 42 square feet. Increase the maximum height of 3 wall signs from 15 feet to 22 feet. Increase the number of ground signs from 1 to 3. Increase the number of wall signs from max of 1 to 6. Permit a wall sign not to face a public street. Permit 3 wall signs to project more than 12 inches from wall.
Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York, attorney for the applicant. This is a Taco Bell. There's an existing Taco Bell on this site of 2,068 square feet. Taco Bell is proposing a new Taco Bell of 2,962 square feet. Initially, they retained me to do a modification of the existing building, and subsequently they decided to put a new building up there. I think the number's going to be approaching a couple of $1 million. Construction, which is very much needed on Long Island. Different subs will be available to Taco. I don't know how you want to handle this. Do you want to go through the requirements first?
That would be fine. I called you yesterday, do you have pictures of the signs, colored pictures of the signs?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that the board can look at them, please, if you
Sure.
don't mind.
Do you want to go through the requirements?
Yeah, let's do that. Tom, do you know how to go through the requirements? The special exception?
I'll do it.
Yeah, go ahead. May I have those, please?
As unbelievable as it is, discotheque and counter-service restaurant have the same special exception requirements. I'm not going to read. It's 32282, and I'm on 6. I'm not going to read the first one because it appears to be only for a discotheque. Planting areas of 25 feet in depth shall be provided adjacent to resident districts and along the front property lines and at least 6 feet in depth along other property lines. We meet that. C, not more than 2 curb cuts shall be permitted. They shall be at least 75 feet apart and shall be at least 75 from a residence district. We meet that. Drive-in windows shall not be located along any building elevation facing a residence district. And queuing lanes shall be provided of sufficient length to prevent queued cars from interfering with traffic on any highway or in the parking area. We meet that. No outdoor loudspeakers shall be permitted except for drive-in windows. The loudspeaker shall not be audible from any residential lot. We meet that. F, no outdoor dining area or outdoor play area shall be permitted. We meet that. Then we go into the general standards. That such use should be in harmony with and promote the general purpose and intent of this chapter. There's a Taco Bell there now. We're putting a slightly larger Taco Bell there in its place. That the plot area is sufficient, appropriate, adequate for the use and reasonably anticipated operation and expansion thereof, but in no case less than the minimum area and frontage requirements or more than the maximum floor area or building coverage requirements specified in the chapter. We meet that requirement. 3, that the proposed use shall not prevent the orderly and reasonable use of adjacent properties in adjacent use districts. There's one there already. If this was turned down, there's going to be one there anyway. The site is particularly suitable for the location of such use in a district with regard to fire protection, water supply, sewage disposal, access, topography, soils, drainage, and nearby land uses. There's one there, we're replacing it. That the characteristics of the proposed use are not such that its proposed location would be unsuitably near a church, school, theater, or recreational area or other place of public assembly. There's one there, we're going to put a new one up. That the proposed use, particularly in the case of non-nuisance industry, does not conform to this chapter's definition of the special exception use where such definition exists, or with the generally accepted definition of such use where it does not exist in this chapter. It's not a non-nuisance industry. There's one there. That access facilities are adequate for the estimated traffic from public streets and sidewalks. so as to assure the public safety and to avoid traffic congestion, and further, that vehicular entrances and exits shall be clearly visible from the street and not within 75 feet of the intersection or the street lines at the street intersection except under unusual circumstances. We meet that requirement. I'm skipping 8 now for a second because I'm coming back to that. 9, that adequate buffer yards and screening are provided where necessary to protect adjacent properties and land uses. We meet that requirement. That adequate provisions will be made for the collection and disposal of storm water runoff from the site and sanitary sewage, refuse, or other waste, whether liquid or solid, gaseous, or other character. We will have engineering approval, and we will have health department approval, and I believe we're putting in a new system. That the proposed use recognizes and provides the further specific conditions and safeguards required for particular subsection C below. I don't think we have to get into that. If the proposed use, action, or development is within the coastal area, that the proposed use, action, or development should be consistent with the local waterfront revitalization program. We don't fall into that. That the proposed use and development shall not have a significant adverse effect on the environment. There's one there. There's going to be another one there. That the proposed development should be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the town of Smithtown. It is. I want to go back to 8. That there are off-street and truck loading spaces, at least in the number required by the provisions of this article. We meet that requirement. But in any case, an adequate number for the anticipated number of occupants, both employees and patrons or visitors, and we meet that because we meet the parking requirement. And now this is the important section that I want you to key on, and I'm reading from the section that the layout of the spaces and driveways is convenient and conducive to safe operation. At 11:08 today, I got a memo from the planning department for their interior flow, which they think they know better than Taco Bell, which only has about 13,000 stores worldwide, and I would think that Taco Bell knows what's best for Taco Bell, and they're not going to do something stupid for Taco Bell. And to take a subjective or this sentence and say that the layout of the spaces and driveways is convenient and conducive to safe operation is insane, to say the least. That's the only thing they raised other than the signs. We have a traffic expert here if you want him to go through the traffic flow requirements. But really what happens here is there are parking spaces hard against the building by Taco Bell. The people get out of the car, they go into the place, they get their food, they come back out. They don't have to cross drive aisles or the cars that are ingressing and egressing the site. So I think planning is off the beam here, and certainly Taco Bell, as I indicated, has a little bit of experience with this. They know what's best. And the pre-existing building has, the existing building has 2 parking spaces to the sign. This building will have 5 parking, queuing lanes rather, to the sign, and 9 to the window. Will from time to time there be an occasional car that's blocked by the queuing lane? That's a possibility. But it's certainly not, it's convenient for the person getting out of the car so they don't get run over. And that's the Taco Bell provision of the operation of the queuing lane. And it's safer operation if it's hard by the building. If you look at their proposal, somebody told me it follows another fast food chain. I won't go into that fast food chain, but it certainly is not conducive for safety. So it seems to me that Taco knows what they're doing. Planning, I call it zoning by ambush. We find out this out the afternoon or the morning of the hearing, and we are going to address it. If you have any specific questions, I want the man from Atlanta to come up, Paul Going, to answer those questions for you.
Just a question I have. I mean, I looked at both plans. and I looked at this, and I guess you'd have to have another variance, but if you took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess 5 or 6, just these parking spaces, I don't know about the other plan, just these parking spaces, wouldn't there be more queuing? Wouldn't there be?
Yeah, but you have 9 to the window. And I believe that Mr. Going has information that 9 to the window is what Taco has on their site. Remember, you only have 2 now. If Taco gets, I remember years ago I was in here, I think it was an Applebee's, and the planning department was calling the striped signs on the canopies a sign, the stripes. And Applebee's came up and told me, if we don't get those stripes, we're going home. We're not going to build a building. I'm not saying that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
But do you want the old building, because they were going to all, where you have 2 to the sign, or do you want a new building where you have 5 to the sign and 9 to the window, and where there's now 2 prep lines in the store, there will be 3 prep lines in the store, so that the movement will be rather quick. But look at the old, look at the new, and I don't want to have to come back for another variance unless the board wants to grant it to me on my own motion. We meet the parking requirement. So what if a person has to wait a couple of seconds to get out? The key question before the board is, as an 8, that's the only thing they raised. And this is the general standards. I've never remembered a general standard being raised on a special exception. That the layout of the spaces and driveways is convenient and conducive to the safe operation. It absolutely is. It's what Taco Bell wants, not what planning wants.
Would it be possible to have the traffic expert explain how it's safe and conducive?
Sure. My name's Paul Going. I'm with the
Say your last name, I'm sorry.
It's G-O-I-N-G, just like the word going.
Okay. And your address, please?
35 Technology Drive, Warren, New Jersey.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. My firm has studied numerous Taco Bells, 7 Taco Bells in the Long Island area, specifically for queuing. And what we found is, based on our study, that a queue of 8 vehicles measured from the pickup window would be necessary at this site. This site accommodates 9, so we feel that the queuing here is more than enough. In the unlikely event that more cars queue up, you may have, for brief periods, very brief periods of time, the queue extending a little further back and blocking those spaces for a very short period of time. But that would only be in the peak hours and it wouldn't be sustained.
Is there a surplus of parking at this location?
The requirement is 60 stalls for this site. That's based on the town's requirement, which is 20 per 1,000.
We meet that. Is the layout of the spaces and driveway, is it convenient?
Yeah, it's much more convenient for, on the westerly side of the building, we have the parking right up against the sidewalk against the building. The people using those spaces, and those spaces would be the first ones chosen by someone coming into the site, they'll be able to come into the restaurant, come out of the restaurant without having to cross a parking aisle. Not that it's inherently unsafe to cross a parking aisle, but it's safer not to have to do that. On the easterly side of the building, we have a dedicated sidewalk fronting along the parking spaces there, and then a crosswalk at the north end to guide those pedestrians from their cars to the building. And again, having that sidewalk and that dedicated pedestrian space is safer.
The reason I ask is that Mr. King had said that the parking was onerous, I guess, in the town of Smithtown. In your estimation, having studied the other Taco Bells, is this more than required for Taco Bell's needs?
Yes, yes. The requirement here is 20 per 1,000. The ITE suggests for fast food 15 per 1,000, and the rates we've seen at Taco Bell's around Long Island are lower than that.
So do you think that have you seen the alternate plan?
Yes, I have.
And do you feel that this application is safer?
Yes, I
Your-
do.
Thank you.
Want me to go into any specifics?
Is it conducive to the safe operation, the tacos plan?
The Taco Bell plan is conducive to the safe operation of the site.
Is planning's plan, is there any parking up against the building?
No, the planning plan has the parking away from the building and has the queuing wrapping around the building in such a way that people, after parking, would have to cross the drive
So that
aisles.
everybody that comes in there who parks would have to cross either a drive aisle or a queuing aisle?
That's correct.
Oh. But there's parking.
Thank you.
But there's only 5 spaces against the oh, on the other side, right? There's only, on that side, there's only 5 or 6, plus the handicap.
Yes.
And the others still will have to cross over.
Yes, they do. But at least those people don't.
All right. Okay, go ahead. Is there anything else?
That's it with respect to the general and the specific. If you want to go into the signs, we'll go into the
Yeah,
signs.
because I have a question about the sign, so go ahead.
Eric is from Bowler Engineering, mine. He's going to, we'll get into the signs. What I'd like to do is, the signs here are the existing Taco Bell signs.
All right, let me go through this.
You have a sheet.
Right.
The signs here are the new proposed Taco Bell sheet on the sign over to here. The, rather than have a freestanding sign, like the old store over here, they want to have a sign like this at the entrance on one street and a same sign on an entrance at the other street. With respect to the facade, I think as part of their anti-recommendation, they are counting the Bell and Taco Bell as 2 separate signs in each instant. So we have, this is the old, this is the new, and they then compare in their recommendation for denial a Checkers, which is a wholly different operation. I represent Checkers. They're smaller. They're trying to compare their signs to our signs, and I don't want to get into a detail of what Checkers has vis-a-vis Taco Bell. This is, each application, I believe, has to stand on its own merits, and Taco Bell feels they need these signs. Now, if you have a specific question, Eric will address the need or requirement, but you know what they used to do. They count, remember when it was, if it was wider than a foot, it's 2 signs. Remember that?
Yes, well, we've changed that.
I know, but it was crazy. Now they're saying Taco Bell and the Bell and Taco Bell is 2 signs. It's really, in other municipalities, that's 1 sign. So when you look at their recommendation, once again against this, I just like you to keep in mind, this is going to be a great thing, and Taco Bell isn't, like I said, a silly company. They look for what they need. As far as the sign facing private property, this board has granted me many of those variances, including Toys R Us at the mall when it was there. We've had many of those. But Taco wants these signs. I don't think it's an overdoing it. It's a new building with some new signage. And then the other thing they mention is it sticks out a foot from the wall. So what? We're back to the foot-wide freestanding sign. Oh my gosh, it's 13 inches off the wall. So what? I think it's nonsense, and I'd like you to look at their recommendation against, and I think you might start laughing.
I just have a question. This wave thing at the top here, is that's why it's 22 feet? No. What is that?
That's the roof cap element. It's actually slightly higher than 22
I
feet.
didn't swear you in, so let me get your name and address, please, too.
Eric Mine, Bowler Engineering, 2002, Orville Drive North, Ronkonkoma, New York.
All right.
Mine is M-E-Y-N.
Okay.
I'm here
Raise
on
your
behalf
right
of Taco
hand.
Bell.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
If there's any additional question, to answer the question at hand, that's a roof cap element. Obviously, you know, what Taco Bell is trying to do is create kind of a tower theme on each frontage, and that's just to cap the roof. Quite frankly, they'd prefer the bell sign to be higher. What they like to do is extend it slightly above the roof line, and the idea is that it's supposed to look like a hanging, swinging bell from the roof cap element, but we've agreed to lower it onto the tower itself. So we've actually reduced the height they prefer and think it works in context with the architectural scheme. And back to what Mr. King was referencing as far as the sign being more than a foot from the building, it's because this Taco Bell lettering is actually on the canopy. It's kind of an entryway feature to identify the entrances for the patrons.
Do you have any other questions with respect to the, any of the signs? Because I don't want to get off that if there's anything that you guys need an answer to.
Planning, do you have, you want to?
You want me to start with the signs?
Go ahead.
Sure. With what Mr. King was referring to with regard to checkers, the board had previously.
Tom, lift that mic up.
Oh, sure.
Take it here.
Sorry. With I guess the history of the board asked Checkers at the time to tone down some of its architecture, and so that would be within keeping with the same idea, you know, being fair for everyone. Asking maybe that some of the design be toned down. I don't know if you want me to get into what exactly or not with regard to the banner along the top and the I guess it's called Drive It.
The Drive It.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if Checkers had something similar, but they asked for brick instead. Another sign thing is the sign not to face a public street. Planning department doesn't feel that they need that sign. They have plenty of signage both on the front of the building, the side of the building to Southern Boulevard and Nesconset Highway. I guess that's the other concern was the, I'm sorry, what did you call the swoosh at the top?
Roof cap element?
The roof cap element, okay, yeah. The planning department didn't feel that that was necessary either. And that's with signage. Do you want me to get into the site layout?
Go ahead.
Sure. I guess what Mr. King was talking about and what we were concerned with is that this site has a lot of drive-through customer use, and it's the planning department's opinion that at any, more than 9 cars queue there at a time. So our concern was with blocking stalls that were for parking, and that's when they came up with the concern about, which requires the layout of the spaces and driveways shall be convenient and conducive to safe operation. As it is, the 2 stalls to car 9 in the queue only have 22 feet to back out when they need a required 24, so that's an issue as it is right now. And so the other concern is that comparing to what Mr. King was talking about was McDonald's actually has angled parking stalls, and it has a one-way flow around the site. We had spoken with the architect, Mr. Meyer, and they discussed that Taco Bell doesn't like the 45-degree angle stalls, so we understand that. We still think there's a way to design the site to keep the 90-degree and to allow for more queuing. Let's see. That pretty much covers most of the planning department's concerns. As you know, you have the PAR in front of you, which goes into more depth.
Gentlemen, any other questions?
I guess I have a question for planning. I don't see a variance on here for reducing a drive aisle from 24
Yeah, I
to
don't
22.
either.
Yeah, Dave actually just caught it this afternoon when we were sitting down looking at it.
Is it possible to make it 24 feet? Otherwise, we would need to grant an additional variance.
What was that one?
It's between, go ahead, Tony. Between,
I noticed that planning just brought up that the drive aisle, I guess on the west portion of the site is only 22 feet wide when the requirement is 24 feet wide.
We say that it's 24.
I mean, I'll put it to a scale. I count 22. Yeah, I believe so. You want to scale it 1 to 30, right?
Oh, well, you're not counting the drive-through. I guess the point of contention right now, it appears to be down in this. It appears to be down in this area, 22-foot aisle, basically from the corner here to the drive-through lane. But back to the testimony provided by Mr. Going, we anticipate a max queue of 8 cars, with very few instances going beyond 8. So ideally, to us, the aisle is the full width, including the drive-through lane, because it's not really going to be utilized very often.
They also asked that we be denied because we didn't ask for a variance, I think, on one of these general, I think it's one of the general standards, which which is nonsense. That we have to-
94G, Section 8, and that was what you had spoken about.
Is this right here, right?
Where did I do with that? The part of that standard which requires that the layout of the spaces and drive aisle shall be convenient and conducive to safe operations. In our
This is
opinion,
only
it's
24.
not.
See, this is
Well, to ask me to come for a variance, when I went to Mr. Bongino's office and got a denial,
22.
and planning's had this thing for months, or whatever, since I've been in, and then to tell me that we don't meet one of the requirements of the general standard, which is a subjective assessment by them, is absolute nonsense, that I would have to come back for that general standard because they have not met that burden. Thank you. Unless you have any other questions.
I'm just trying to figure out this 22 feet versus 24 feet, because it appears to me that it's 24 feet as well. I don't see where the 22 is coming from.
This is sabotage.
All right,
If I might approach the board?
You have the mic with you?
Yes. We're talking about right here,
That
from
corner,
that
right?
corner to the corner of the mat is about 22 feet. But quite frankly, a vehicle's only about 6 feet, and the mat's 10 feet wide. So ideally, there would be 24 feet of space, even if a vehicle was there. And again, that's where vehicle 9 would be in the queue, and we don't anticipate there being a vehicle 9 other than at peak hours.
Well, even if you didn't, doesn't planning usually consider drive aisles as part of the calculation anyway? Or I guess I should be asking building.
Yeah, John, what is your? I mean,
I didn't see it part of our denials, so I would say that it was considered part of the parking. Drive aisle, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Readily moved to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, I want to take one of these for myself.
Thank you.
Okay. I want one of these, and I want one of these. Okay, here's more of this. I don't, you want to fold those, I guess, to get them into the, I don't know. It's up to you. Give me a second. That's all right. That's no problem. Okay, next case is case 16805, P.F. Chang's, 313 Smith Haven Mall, Lake Grove. Location, northeast corner of Middle Country Road and Alexander Avenue, Lake Grove. Property zone SCB. Request variance to increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 25. Increase the maximum number of ground signs from 1 to 2. Increase the maximum square foot of a ground sign from 32 square feet to 141 square feet for 2 ground signs. And your name, please?
Andrea Passanelli,
And you are
owner representative for P.F. Chang's.
owner representative?
I'm with P.F. Chang's.
Are you president or vice president or hold an
Director of-
office?
Director of Development.
No. No,
won't work?
I need an officer
Or a power of
or a power of attorney.
Okay, well, we don't have that. Sorry.
I'm sorry. And you are, what was,
Larry with our sign company.
nope. I'm very sorry. I need to have an officer here or a power of attorney. I'm going to have to adjourn it.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait a minute, don't you want to know?
Can we request an adjournment to see if I can get a fax?
Get a what, honey?
Have somebody fax a letter saying
Nope,
that I
it
can
needs a
represent?
special form for power of attorney. It needs a,
Has to be a special form.
it has to be original power of attorney, and there is a form for, with the power of attorney that you have to get.
Okay,
You can't write just a letter.
okay,
Well, she can give you another date and then just get it before that date.
okay,
All right? You don't have to send out the cards again,
okay,
but what you have to do is change the date on the signs.
okay.
All right? I guess November 13th.
November, okay, we can do that, and that's perfect, because we're gonna amend, the variance request anyhow.
You
So,
are.
Yeah, we're gonna just do the, request for the height of the wall sign and take out the ground signs.
Okay. Good
Well, you
choice.
don't have to do anything then. Right?
Okay.
What?
You don't have to do anything other than tell us that night.
No, because they're just taking things
So
out.
just, okay, so we don't have to amend the
No,
request form?
we just won't approve that, we'll take those out. You're taking out, increasing maximum ground signs from 32 square feet to 141.
Correct,
You're taking those
Altogether.
ground signs out.
yeah.
Okay. So you don't really,
November.
all right? So November 13th, make sure you have a legitimate power of attorney that's,
Okay, and where can I get that form?
Get them online?
Online. Perfect, we'll get it.
okay?
Thank you so much, I apologize.
Okay. Taking the horses out. Was there anyone interested in that application? No one was interested in that, okay. Were you? All right. Do you understand what they're doing? So, they're coming back in November. Yes, they're taking away those, not ground signs, you know, I think that those, it was the horses that were in front. That's what they, yeah, they're not asking for those anymore. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, so it's adjourned to November 13th. Okay. Next case is case 16806, Elaine Cummins, 5 Barrett Court, Wisconsin location. east side of Barrett Court, north of Leonard Street, Wisconsin, property zone R10. Request variance to increase the maximum gross flow area of 25% to 41% existing. Reduce the minimum distance to any lot line from 2 feet to 1 for an existing 96 square foot shed. Reduce the minimum distance to any lot line from 6 feet to 5 for an existing 152 square foot shed. All right, just one second. John, we measured the attic, and it is less than, with the new ordinance, it's less than 6 feet 8 inches. It comes to 6 feet 2 inches. So it goes from 25% to 30%. Are you in agreement with us?
We actually used the numbers provided by their architect. That's how we obtained our original numbers.
Yeah, well, I think it's because the new
Correct.
attic ordinance.
Correct, but I'm just saying
changed.
we didn't recalculate
Yeah.
it, we used their numbers.
All right, do you understand what we're doing now? No. Okay,
I don't know if it,
good.
I don't know if it helps, but the architect was
Now,
there.
just don't say anything until, I'm just going to tell you it's going to go from
Okay,
25%
okay,
to 30%.
okay.
All right? So it's not going to 41%. Okay, let me have your name now.
Okay. Janice Cummins, 5 Barrett Court, Wisconsin, New York, 11767.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Okay.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Do I talk
You want to
now?
go ahead?
Okay.
You got to talk into the mic.
Okay. I feel what we had some issues with the contractor, but going forward, what ended up being done is conforming to the surrounding neighborhood. He kept to the footprint of the house. The area of the house is to be used for storage. These homes don't have a basement. My mom, who's really the owner of the house, who I take care of, has a great deal of medical equipment, oxygen machines, wheelchairs, just quite a bit. There's no way to store it without tripping, and due to her osteoporosis, falling is a big deal. So due to not the basement, that's what the hope was for all of this. It just seemed to go bigger than I approved of. Money was given to the contractor to do all the right things, but I, of course, found out later that wasn't done. Then to do with the sheds, there's one that's my daughter's playhouse with a little play kitchen in it, and the other one, which was my father's before he passed on, he stored his tools and such in there, which has been there a long time. But as I have in pictures, it's pretty similar and conforming to the neighbors' sheds on the block and area. Is that all you wanted?
Planning?
No comments, Madam Chair.
Gentlemen?
Did you want
Okay.
a picture?
No, we
Okay.
in fact, we were there yesterday. We
Okay,
do a
that-
site inspection.
Okay. Is the 30% recalculation conforming? Is that what it is?
Well, you're asking for variance. Instead of asking for 41%, it's going to be 30% now.
Okay.
Code is 25.
It's closer to conformity.
Is this
Yeah.
a good thing?
Yeah.
A little bit better, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Is there anyone here who would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So move.
Second.
Really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next case is case 16807 Citibank Location, northeast corner of Route 347 and Alexander Avenue, Lake Grove. Property zone SCB. Request variance to increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 17. Easy one, huh?
Madam Chairman, members of the board, my name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I'd like you to look at the photograph submitted, which would give you an idea of the size of the sign. It's not the size that meets code, even though we're making it a little bit larger than the existing sign. The only variance we're requesting is a height variance from 15 to 17 feet. And if you visualize the shopping center, it makes sense to allow this variance, which the Citibank sign, if it's granted, will basically conform to the other signs in the shopping center. We don't think it will have an undesirable change in the character of the area. It's a shopping center, and shopping centers have signs. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be sought by some alternative, not really. Signage is very important for any type of business, including a bank. Whether it's substantial, no, it's 2 feet, and that's the way the facade of the building was built, I guess, many years ago. Whether the proposed variance will have any environmental effect, it's a sign. I don't think it'll have any effect. Was it self-created? No, we're asking the board for its favorable consideration. The sign is not up now. A smaller Citibank sign exists there.
Planning? Gentlemen.
Is the sign going to be at the same height as all the existing signs in the shopping center?
I'm sorry?
Is the sign going to be at the same height as the rest of the signs in the shopping center?
I think so, yeah. The 17 feet is pretty much, I mean, they're not exact, every one of them, but this seems to be the appropriate height for that area.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Ready, move the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay.
I'm going to run to the mall.
Two more. The same thing. Can we make it? You know what? If not, you can't use his computer. No. Photography. Okay, I'll read the two. Who is here from? Don. Okay. Don, I'm going to read both of them.
Please.
Okay. 2-15533, rehearing to modify the original decision. Whitcomb, Bellman, location, south side of Jericho Turnpike, west of Wyandanch Boulevard, Smithtown, property zone WSI. Request variance reduce the minimum lot area from 20,000 square feet to 12,801 square foot, not including 27,197 square foot of environmentally sensitive land. Slopes in excess of 15%, 13,967 square feet previously approved. Increase the floor area ratio from 50% to 64%, 61% previously approved. Next case is case 2-16269, rehearing to modify original decision. Whitcomb, Zalman, locations outside of Jericho Turnpike, west of Wyandanch Boulevard, Smithtown, property zone WSI. Request variance, reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 50 feet to 45 feet previously approved.
Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York. As you know, I was before the board on this case on January 22nd, 2008. I was before the board again on December 15, 2010, before the board again on June 12, 2012, and as you know, there's a large wall has been constructed on the site. What happened is there was a survey error, and as a result of the survey error, we have to increase the floor area ratio to 64% from the prior approval of 61, and the rear yard
Wait, but this is the rear yard.
50 to 41, 45 was the prior approval, and that's based upon an error of the survey. And it's that simple. It won't produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. We've been through this a number of times. The wall is up. Can it be achieved by some other method? No, we can't. Is it substantial? This is a minimal request based on a mistake. Will it have an adverse effect on the physical environment? No. And was the difficulty self-created? If you want to say that the survey mistake, then it was self-created. And that's it.
Okay. Planning?
Department just has a concern that it wants to see the buffers maintained and also, if possible, some guarantee that the plantings survive. There are various aspects to go.
Well, we had conditions on this, didn't we?
I believe we did, yeah.
I think you did that before. I mean, if
Right.
that's
Those
what you
conditions.
want, you know, if you...
Same concerns then.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Come up, please. Let me have your name, please,
Ruth Torito,
and spell your last name.
Toritto,
Okay, and your address.
6 Wyandanch Boulevard, Comac.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Just before I make my comments, I couldn't hear what this gentleman from planning
Well, the
said.
conditions that we had for plantings and maintaining them, I believe that we had plantings.
I don't have it in front of me right at the moment, but yeah. Our concerns were that we said that we wanted to make sure that the buffer was maintained and that the plants are planted and survive.
Okay, there were plantings put in place from the last hearing. So what you're saying is that will be maintained, even if this is approved. Okay. All right, well, as you all know, we've been here numerous times. We've had problems with this property being built from the beginning.
As much as you can.
And even though we had from the very beginning we had opposed the 28-foot high wall and the 2-story building, that was approved. And the gentlemen who are building it have built the wall and now are starting the building. It was my husband and I who hired the surveyor to come and survey our property. And it was through his findings that the error was found, that the owner's surveyor made a 4-foot 5-inch error. As by this time, the wall had already been built and backfilled. So we have 4.5 feet of our property that has been excavated. We kind of have a double-edged sword here because the wall is up, the building foundation has been poured. It's 4 feet 5 inches closer to our property line than this board had approved. But if we don't have him continue to build this, we have a worse problem, and we know that. Because if he doesn't finish the building, our property value is going to go down further than it already has gone down. So, much to our dismay, we are asking this board to approve this application because we know that we don't want another building on Jericho Turnpike to be stopped and have another hole on Jericho Turnpike. That's happened too many times. So I do want you to know that we have had thousands upon thousands of dollars of damages because of this, though. And I hope no other homeowner ever has to go through this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
You've already moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right. Next case is case 16781, 2J's Inc. has been adjourned to November 27th. That concludes our hearings for tonight. Thank you so much.